which is where we begin. The Democratic Alliance has presented 9 steps to hold President Cyril Ramaphosa to account over the burglary at his Limpopo farm in 2020. As part of the steps is to approach the FBI. They're also seeking an explanation on the alleged police cover-up. Among others, former State Security Agency boss Arthur Fraser opened a criminal case against the president, alleging that Ramaphosa concealed a crime in which millions of dollars were stolen from his Phala Phala Farm. Let's get more details now with DA leader John Steenhuisen. Mr. Steenhuisen, thank you so much for your time this evening. Why the FBI?
Well, because the FBI have to investigate white-collar crime that involves the use of US dollars, which is not a currency of South Africa, but is a currency of the United States of America. And where those dollars cross borders, particularly if there's suspicion that there's been money laundering or any other white-collar crime, you are able to report it there for investigation. We've written to them to see if we can try and establish what the source of these dollars were and how they made their way into South Africa, crossing a border clearly from somewhere into the country. And we would like to be able to follow the trail of those dollars and map their journey to be able to determine where they've come from.
And it's part of our question tonight as we're asking their viewers what are their thoughts on this. Some are saying that it's a right call, it's the right step to take this to the FBI, while others are saying it seeks to undermine our law enforcement agencies. I'm keen to hear your response on that.
Well, it's very clear the president himself doesn't have much confidence in our law enforcement agencies, which is why the robbery was never reported to the SAPS 2 years ago when it occurred, and why no case number was generated, and why there was no formal police investigation. I think that in cases like this that require a deeper forensic investigation, and certainly this is a case where members of the VIP protection unit have been implicated. I think it would be good to get an external set of eyes on the circumstances to make sure that we can genuinely get to the bottom of what has happened at Phala Phala and find out exactly what went on, who was involved, and why it wasn't reported. I don't think there's anything odd with making sure that you're covering all the bases, ensuring we get to the bottom of this. It's exactly the position we took over in Kandla. It's exactly the position we've taken over a number of issues.
I know this is part of, the 9 steps that you've put there. You're even calling for, clarification when it comes to some of his financial interests. The president says that he would like to be given some space to allow the processes to unfold. Yet at the same time, there are growing calls for him to take the nation into his confidence about what happened here. Do you think it's time he addresses the nation?
I think it's long overdue. He's had 2 years to get his story straight. Why now is there now need to be an investigation when the robbery took place 2 years ago? Surely by now you would know how much was stolen, who the money came from, where it went, how it was retrieved, how much of it was retrieved. I think what the president's doing is taking a legalistic response here, clearly on the advice of lawyers. But it's a fatal piece of advice politically, because the longer the president stays silent on this matter, the longer he refuses to take the people of South Africa into his confidence, the more the vacuum of that silence is being filled by speculation, and the more the jigsaw pieces are starting to fall into place. And eventually that full picture will be known. And I think it would be far better if the president a week ago stood up and said, this is where the money came from, this is why I had it, this is where it went, these are the people that investigated, this is the case number that I've got with the SAPS, and these are the consequences that need to be followed. The fact that he hasn't done that has now started to poison the well of our body politics, and we've already seen in Parliament a replay of the Nkandla drama with MPs being ejected out of the House, MPs being prevented from asking the tough questions. And I just think it's all unnecessary. The president should just come clean with South Africa and allow us to be able to make a judgment on our own whether in fact there's further steps that should be taken or not.
Do you think,
but the silence, I think, is fatal to his cause.
Pardon me for coming in there. Do you think Parliament missed an opportunity here when the Speaker said it's not time to hold him to account, in fact, just yet, saying that obviously things may be different in the future? Do you think Parliament missed an opportunity here?
Absolutely. And I said we're seeing a repeat of the Nkandla matter where Parliament circled the wagons around Jacob Zuma. The Speaker and other presiding officers shut down debate on the particular matter. We're seeing a repeat of that. The Constitution is very clear. It is Parliament that holds the President and the Executive accountable. There's no reason why Parliament can't be conducting its own inquiries and calling the President to account. Irrespective of what other investigations are taking place at this time, it does not preclude Parliament from doing its job. In fact, if you look at the Nkandla judgment, where they're very critical of the fact that Parliament dragged its feet, they argued at the time that Parliament had actually had a duty to conduct inquiries and to hold the President accountable, and they failed to do so. And it looks like we're walking straight back into the same trap here again.
Some have said that, political parties have called on him to step aside, some of them saying that it's going to be difficult to investigate a sitting president. Do you think it's time he steps aside to allow this investigation to unfold?
Well, I don't think that I can confidently make a call for him to step aside because I haven't heard what his side of the story is yet. And that is half of the problem. It's very, very difficult to insist that somebody should step aside. Who knows? There may well be an innocent explanation for all of this. Although the longer he remains silent, it looks increasingly doubtful. And certainly these are not the actions of an innocent man who would have come out and protested his innocence right from the beginning. But nonetheless, I think the President must level with the people. And I think then as Parliament, we must make a decision about whether we institute impeachment hearings or a motion of no confidence, or whether we use other mechanisms to hold the President accountable. But the longer he stays silent, the more damage I think he's doing to his own cause. As
we round up our discussion, finally, I'm keen to hear your thoughts on the delay in the release of the 5th installment of the State Capture Report.
I think it's a completely unsatisfactory set of events. The court gave a deadline. We agreed at the initial request for extension that we had no opposition to it. There was a deadline set for Wednesday last week. We then waited and we were told it was going to be on Saturday night. Saturday night came and went. We didn't have it. Sunday night we were told again it was ready. It wasn't. And Monday we're told by the President's own spokesperson that the President and the Chief Justice were conferring on the timelines. And that was from the President's spokesperson's own Twitter account. And I think that has left a very, very bad taste in the mouth of the majority of South Africans who are rightly concerned about what on earth is going on. Why would the President be discussing timelines with Mr. Zondo? Why would Mr. Ramaphosa be calling Mr. Zondo and out of meetings to take his call to discuss timelines, particularly in a report in which the President is no doubt going to be playing and featuring, and his party is going to be featuring. I think that justice must be seen to be impartial, and it must also be impartial. And I think that this delay has been most unfortunate, and I think it is unfortunate that it may end up harming the credibility of this particular report, given the fact that it's now overdue, and there appears to have been conversations between the President and the Chief Justice about the timing of the report.
All right, Mr. Steenhuisen, thank you so much for your time. Let's see what comes out tomorrow, if they're able to tell us exactly what these delays
are.
Thank you. That was DA leader John Steenhuisen.